The next morning came quickly. The compound was quiet, but the tension in the air was heavy. Everyone knew that stage 2 was serious and that not all of them would move forward. Blessing came out early. She sat quietly on the small bench outside her room, breathing slowly and praying softly in her heart. Adaize came out next, looking serious and deep in thought. Funke stepped out later, pacing up and down nervously, whispering prayers to herself. Finally, Joy came out of her room. She walked slowly with her chin high, not greeting anyone. She looked at the other three and smirked. She said mockingly,
"Why are you people looking like you are going to pie? This is just a small quiz, not war."
Funke ignored her. Blessing said nothing. Adaize glanced at her but did not reply. They all began walking toward the community hall together. When they arrived, the hall looked different. There were fewer contestants now, and the atmosphere felt heavier. A woman stood in front holding a file. She spoke clearly. "Welcome to stage 2, the semi-final. This stage is not just about answering questions. It is about how you think, how you behave, and how you walk under pressure." Joy folded her arms and whispered to herself, "Still too small." The woman continued, "You will be given a problem to solve together as a group, but each of you must also show leadership and teamwork." Joy laughed quietly and muttered, "Teamwork with these people. Rubbish." They were led into a separate room where there was a large table with papers, pens, and a timer on the wall. The woman explained the task. She said, "You are stranded in a place with limited resources. You must plan how to survive and reach safety. You must work together and present your plan clearly." Funke looked confused. Blessing looked thoughtful. Adaize leaned forward, already analyzing the situation. Joy leaned back in her chair with attitude, looking bored. The timer started. Blessing spoke first in a calm voice. "Let's think carefully. We need water, food, and a safe direction." Adaize nodded and began writing ideas. Funke hesitated but added, "We should also consider shelter." Suddenly, Joy slammed her hand on the table. She said loudly,
"Please stop all this slow talk. You people are wasting time."
She grabbed the pen from Adaize and started speaking arrogantly.
"This is what we will do. We will follow my plan. No argument."
Blessing gently said.
"Joy, we need to listen to each other."
Joy cut her off sharply.
"Shut up! Who are you to tell me what to do? You sell small things for a living. I am a graduate."
Funke looked uncomfortable. Adaize frowned and said calmly,
"Joy, this is a team task. We must work together." "Team? With you people, don't make me laugh."
She kept talking over them, refusing to listen to anyone. The woman observing them wrote quietly in her notebook. Time was running out. Blessing tried again, speaking softly. "Joy, please, let us hear each other so we don't fail." Joy stood up abruptly and pointed at them. "You people should just follow me. I know better. I don't have time for your nonsense." Suddenly, the timer beeped loudly. The woman stood up and said, "Time is up. Present your plan." Joy quickly stood up and began talking confidently, not allowing the others to speak. She explained her idea, but it sounded rushed and disorganized. When she finished, the woman looked at the group. She asked, "Does anyone else have something to add?" Blessing stood up calmly and spoke clearly. She explained a more balanced and thoughtful plan, using ideas that Adaize and Funke had mentioned earlier. Joy rolled her eyes loudly. The woman nodded slowly, then dismissed them. They all stepped outside to wait for the results. Joy turned to them and laughed. She said arrogantly, "You people should start preparing your excuses. I will be the only one going to stage 3. Blessing said nothing. Adaize looked at Joy seriously and said, "Pride can make you blind." Joy hissed and walked away. After a long wait, the woman finally came out with the results. The atmosphere became very tense. Everyone's heart was beating fast. The woman cleared her throat and began calling names. First, she said, "Funke." Funke gasped softly, knowing what that meant. She had been disqualified. Then the woman said, "Adaize." Adaize closed her eyes briefly. She had also been disqualified. Only Blessing and Joy were left standing. The whole hall became silent. Joy folded her arms, smiling confidently, already feeling like the winner. The woman looked at Blessing first and said clearly, "Blessing, you are through to the final." Blessing placed her hand on her chest in relief. Then there was a long pause. Joy kept smiling, thinking her name would be next, but the woman did not speak immediately. She looked down at her paper, then back at Joy. Finally, slowly, she said, "And Joy." Joy smirked proudly, feeling like she had already proven her superiority. The woman looked directly at her and said calmly, "You passed, but your attitude will be tested again in the final." Joy laughed softly and replied, "I don't need lessons from anyone." That evening, they returned to the compound. The sun was setting. Blessing sat outside quietly, thinking deeply about everything. Adaize went straight into her room without saying much. Funke stood by her door, still shaking her head about the whole thing. Joy entered her room proudly, already celebrating in her mind. Later that night, Joy was on the phone again, speaking loudly. She said to her friend, "Two of them have been sent home. It is now just me and Blessing. Don't worry, the final is mine. I already won." Blessing lay in her room, staring at the ceiling. She whispered softly, "God, if this opportunity is for me, let your will be done." Outside, the wind blew gently across the compound. The final stage was coming. And this time, it would not just test knowledge, it would test heart, character, and humility.
The next morning, the compound was unusually quiet. The air felt different, like something big was about to happen. Blessing came out early. She sat outside quietly, holding her hands together, breathing slowly and praying in her heart. Joy came out later. She did not greet anyone. She walked with her head high, looking confident and proud, like someone who already had the prize in her pocket. She looked at Blessing and smirked. She said mockingly,
Today is the day you will know that you are not my level. Just prepare yourself.
Blessing said nothing. She only looked at Joy calmly. They both walked toward the community hall for the final stage. When they arrived, the hall was arranged differently. There were fewer people now. Important officials sat in front. The landlord's son was also there, watching quietly. The same woman from stage 2 stood in front, holding a file. She spoke clearly. "Welcome to the final stage. This is not just a quiz. This is a test of your mind, your character, and your heart." Joy folded her arms, looking bored. She whispered to herself, "Still too small." The woman continued, "You will each be asked personal questions. Your answers will determine who truly deserves this opportunity." Blessing stood straight, ready. Joy stood with her chin high, confident. The woman looked at Joy first. She asked, "Joy, why do you think you deserve this opportunity more than Blessing?" Joy smiled proudly and answered quickly, "Because I am more educated than her. I am a graduate. She is just a small girl who does small jobs. I am better than her in every way." Some people in the hall murmured. The landlord's son watched her closely. Then the woman turned to Blessing and asked gently, "Blessing, why do you think you deserve this opportunity?" Blessing took a deep breath and spoke calmly. "I do not think I am better than Joy. I only believe that if I am chosen, I will work hard, respect others, and use the opportunity to help myself and my family." Silence filled the hall. The woman nodded slowly. Then she asked Joy another question. "If you win and become a leader in that company, how will you treat people under you?" Joy laughed softly and said confidently,
I will make sure they know I am above them. They must respect me and fear me.
The hall became quiet again. Then the woman turned to Blessing and asked, "Blessing, if you become a leader, how will you treat others?" Blessing smiled gently and said,
I will treat everyone with respect, listen to them, and guide them with patience because everyone deserves kindness.
The woman wrote something down. The woman then said, "Now we will test you with one final science question. This is important." She looked at Joy first. She said, "Joy, explain in simple terms what photosynthesis means and why it is important." Joy rolled her eyes and laughed softly. She said arrogantly,
Please, this is too small. Everyone knows science. Plants just use sunlight. That is all. I don't need to explain further.
The woman looked at her seriously and did not smile. She then turned to Blessing and asked the same question. Blessing stood up calmly and said,
Photosynthesis is the process by which green plants use sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide to make their own food. It is important because it gives plants life, produces oxygen for humans and animals to breathe, and keeps the environment balanced.
Silence filled the hall. The landlord's son nodded slowly. Joy shifted uncomfortably in her seat for the first time. The woman stood up and spoke loudly to everyone in the hall. She said, "The winner of this competition is not just the smartest person. It is the person with wisdom, humility, and a good heart." Joy folded her arms tightly, trying to look confident. Blessing stood quietly. After a long pause, the woman finally called out the winner. She looked directly at Blessing and said clearly, "Blessing, you are the winner." The hall went silent. Blessing gasped softly and placed her hand on her chest in disbelief. Joy froze. Her confident smile slowly disappeared. The woman continued, "Blessing, you will be sponsored to travel abroad and work with the company." People began clapping softly. The landlord's son nodded approvingly. Then the woman turned to Joy and spoke firmly but calmly. "Joy, you are intelligent, but your pride almost cost you everything. You even failed the science question because you refused to take it seriously." Joy could not speak. She stood there, shocked and ashamed. As they returned to the compound that evening, everything felt different. Blessing walked quietly, not boasting, not mocking Joy. Joy walked behind her, silent for the first time. When they reached the compound, Joy sat outside alone for a long time. She looked at the sky, thinking deeply. For the first time, she remembered how she had treated Blessing and the others. Tears slowly formed in her eyes. She whispered softly, "Pride made me lose what could have been mine." Blessing came outside and saw her. Instead of laughing or mocking her, Blessing sat beside her gently. She said softly, "Joy, this is not the end for you. You are smart. You just need to learn to respect others." Joy looked at her, surprised. She slowly nodded, feeling humbled. Moral lesson. Pride can lift you up for a moment, but humility will carry you far in life. No matter how educated or successful you are, never look down on others. Respect, kindness, and humility open more doors than arrogance ever will.